Okay. I like to look or think about type 1 and type 2 errors in a chart, okay? Let's actually look at a real example that happens in the real world. Let's say that the null hypothesis is that you are innocent, and the alternative hypothesis is the opposite of that, that you're not innocent or guilty. Okay, so let's pretend you are innocent. Okay, so this is the true state of your nature. You are innocent, and we conclude that you are innocent. Okay, well, that's a correct assumption. That's good. We made the right decision. Okay, well, let's still say you are innocent, but we declare you guilty. Okay, well, that's going to be a type 1 error. All right, so a type 1 error, again, is when HO is true, okay, but HO is rejected. Okay, that's a type 1 error. A type 2 error is going to be that we fail to reject, okay, the null when HA is true. So this means actually that you are guilty, but you were declared innocent. Well, that's called a type 2 error. All right, and if you were actually guilty and you were declared guilty, well, that's correct. So there are two different type errors. I'm going to put HA here, actually, and HA here. You can change that too. There are two type errors that can be committed. So which one's the worst? Well, it depends. All right, well, this one right here is that an innocent man went to jail. Okay, this one right here is that a guilty man or woman did not go to jail. They were declared innocent. And now we need to know what type tail test you are going to be having for all of these. Well, it's really easy. You always look at the sign of the alternative hypothesis. The sign of the alternative hypothesis will be greater than, it will be not equal to, or it will be less than. And this will tell you what type tail you have. Well, let's see here. This is greater than. It's pointing to the right. So it's going to be a right-tailed test. It's a one-tailed test, and it's right-tailed. Well, if you have a less than, it's pointing to the left. So it's going to be a left-tailed test, and there's only one tail. And then if it's not equal to, it's actually going to be a two-tailed test. So always look at your alternative hypothesis sign in order to see what type tailed test you are conducting. This will really start on 7.2, but this is exactly what you would do to set up a hypothesis test. You first need to actually state the hypotheses, okay? So you need to state, okay, well, what is the null and what is the alternative? And then you're going to look at the sign for the alternative to decide if it's right-tailed, left-tailed, or two-tailed. State the level of significance. This will be given. Find the value of the calculated test statistic. This is going to be a z-score, okay, or a t-score, depending on the sample size. Find the p-value, all right, so you're going to go from a z-score to a probability, or possibly a t-score to a probability, and then you're going to compare that probability to alpha, okay? Remember, when p-value is less than alpha, you are going to reject the null. When your p-value is greater than alpha, you will fail to reject the null. And then you're going to state a formal conclusion about the alternative. Okay, well, if we reject the null, there is evidence for the alternative, right? For HA. If you fail to reject the null, there is not evidence to support the alternative, hypothesis. And we'll actually be conducting this in 7.2, 7.3, and 7.4.